So it can tell you that the framers, these people who are making proposals, they are aware that what they are doing is hugely unpopular.
And they're anticipating.
Yes, they know that it's hugely unpopular. And they want to remove the temptation of those in the military saying, no, you can't do it. And then you do it in the manner, what they're doing. You know, if the Constitution allows it, if we've amended the Constitution, etc. They are trying to avoid
it.
Yeah, but which doesn't work. You cannot take away possible future charges of treason against those that are responsible for the proposal that have come. Well, look, the military intervention is not about whether the ground is ripe or not. I think military interventions will come depending on the thought processes of the people in the military. I'm not familiar with when they come in. But if you go by 2017, if we were to look at those that came in 2017, those that came in 2017, as far as they said to us and what we were able to see, is when they feel that the ordinary people are no longer able to stop certain things that are done by those in government, but which are totally unacceptable. That's my understanding of it. If you feel that the public is now helpless, like if, for example, you really feel, but that is wrong and very wrong, but the public can't do anything, cannot do anything about it, that's when normally they intervene.
And then there was a fund, a $65 million US fund, which was set aside for COVID issues, specifically for COVID. And then one day I was home, bored, and then I went online, started reading stuff, and then came across an article about how some funds had gone missing. And so I challenged the Secretary for Finance, because he's basically the permanent secretary responsible for looking after the government purse. And we had an exchange, but it was, more like banter, saying what's going on. And then I started investigating, and then I realized that, wow, there's so much money being looted. And that's the scandal that got me into prison, because I had to name people, and I named 3 people who were very upset with me. It was the president, his wife, and one of his children. And they were very upset with that.
When push comes to shove, power protects itself. I feel sad for those that may have been committing crime under the guise of, no, but I'm very close to power. But when the lead gets off, there will be a price to pay. Okay. One thing that we all need to know is that Zimbabwe is stuck today because of criminality, nothing else. And one of the greatest pandemic we are fighting today is actually violence. And I am appealing to Chiwenga. I mean, we heard you spoke about corruption, which has become a security threat. What about violence? Because there is no country for people and health. Violence is continuing today. In fact, there are guys that were abducted and tortured that were simply defending the Constitution. And I actually heard reports are Jameson Timba's house and Ibo Mandaza, who are the leader opposing the constitutional amendments that would extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term to 2030, shared this picture saying unknown individuals left these 2 marks on his gate. You also said the same marks were left at Ibo Mandaza's gate yesterday afternoon. The suspects that the markings are threats directed to leaders and members of the Defend Constitution platform. You will remember last time that they went and also caused a bit of a havoc at Tendai Biti's offices. Violence. So I genuinely believe at this point in time, Chiwenga should come out and condemn violence. Because you know what my worry is to wake up tomorrow with a new administration that against you being backed up by gangs. Where do we draw a line between leadership, love for each other, patriotism? Because how can you love someone from Botswana or South Africa and yet you hurt your own brother? We need to put a stop to violence, and I'm really expecting Chiwenga to address that as well. Talk about industrialization, which you're going to listen to a little bit later. We talk about corruption He's spoken about a lot of things. He continued reminding people about the ethos of the liberation struggle. But can we continue watching our brothers being violated or harassed by gangs? Let's do good by our people. You know, I've been asking questions. I don't know if it is actually protocol. And when I see those soldiers who are wearing their dark shirts, their faces are covered, is it necessary? The kind of security I'm seeing today is shocking. Emerson Mnangagwa, Auxilia, I mean sometimes Chiwenga as well, the bodyguards, what's going on? Can we be informed what's happening in this country? Honestly, it is sad to watch, a 50-something-year-old man crying out for help. I think these interviews that most Zimbabweans are actually having, and just interviews, it's a cry, and they actually need to be heard. You can hear Hopewell, narrating his ordeals that were caused by Mnangagwa's kids, Mnangagwa, Auxilia, and the children, just because he spoke about corruption, which worries me a lot because I've been asking questions. I think Auxilia is way too busy for a first lady. How many people have seen first ladies in different countries as busy as Auxilia is? She's in the Politburo, she's there, she's there. Honestly, sometimes I wonder, is this about leadership or there's more to it? In fact, when I went to look at the video, the first video that Mnangagwa did, that was in 2017, I said to myself, wow, sometimes we don't pay attention. It's the little things. Because that video of Auxilia and how she looked, it was like she was coming after us. She wanted to revenge, the face of vindication. We need to pay attention next time. Imagine your husband is coming in as a president and you're going to be the first lady. And that's the kind of face that you serve the people. Yeah. We were desperate. But we should have known that this had nothing to do with Zimbabwe as a country and saving the people. It was all about personal vendettas. Anyway, but like I always say, 2030 is dead like a dodo. It will not see the light of day. Chiwenga is trending. That's why I'm sending a message of him to address the issue of violence. He's trending. Take a listen.
Yes, you are aware what is happening. Right now we are going into the 4th industrial revolution. You know, we had the 1st industrial revolution, which was done by the Europeans on their own. But this 4th industrial revolution requires everyone, and Africa cannot be left behind. And more importantly, Southern Africa cannot be left behind. We are the owners of all the God-given resources, and we need those resources now to tend them if we are to have meaningful economic growth. Now what we are seeing here, both from the green energy and right up to now the Tubatoka, which we think now is going to be realized. What it means is that the major enabler for any economic growth is now real. Because a lot of people make mistakes that energy is one of the economic product, but no, it's an enabler for any activity to take place. Be it in industry, be it in agriculture, be it in mining, you need energy. And so it is an enabler. And what we have seen here being displayed, and some ideas even coming from our institutions of higher learning, is quite encouraging. There's a lot of innovation which is taking place across the board. And more importantly, it is the region which has now come together to say, let's put our minds together, let's see how we can generate energy for ourselves and how we can then eventually distribute it across the countries for economic growth. Quite encouraging.
All right, I know some of you, it's a first time to pass through this channel. I I want to say you're welcome. Please do not forget to subscribe. Make sure that you ring the bell so at least every time I'm live, you'll be notified or drop a video. I also want to send some love and light to those that are always hanging out with me and say once again, please do not forget to thumbs up the video and also share with others. And stick around. I love this tweet from Brian Mateboka. He said Chiwenga is clearly using such platforms to campaign and sell his grand presidential vision. That's the mark of a man who clearly believes that he is too very much in the pipeline to outlast ED in their duel. He is trying to project himself statesman-like. We can see Chiwenga is very busy. I've told you that his countenance has changed. But like I've always said, you will never know what people think. I just hope they hear our plea. All we're asking for is to wake up in a normal country. Because as it stands, we are in a gangster state. The society can tell. The disrespect can tell. If a few individuals can wake up and say we are changing the constitution, that will show you that the country is completely lost itself. What are the values and principles we live by? What are they? It's very sad. But trust me, Temba is not having it. Temba is very upset with Chiwenga. In fact, he has been saying, why is it Chiwenga sitting down with the military and so forth? I just wonder why. But let me read what he wrote, because I'll tell you my thoughts. Said, I've been reliably informed of a clandestine gathering that took place 2 days ago, involving several high-ranking military officials, at which I was focal point of discussion. The meeting attendees later visited the VP's place, which is Chiwenga's house. Their discontent primarily revolves around my continued public denunciations of specific acts of misconduct, abuse of office, and even dereliction of duty attributed to the Vice President. We are acutely aware of these and other political covert convenings among military personnel which are clearly informed by subversive agendas. It's essential to recognize that the Vice President has transitioned into a political role. Thus, it is entirely within the rights of the public to scrutinize his conduct as a public official. In the realm of politics, no individual is insulated from the critical examinations warranted by their status as public servants. His current endeavor to diminish the efforts of his own party through insinuations that the country lacks one man, one vote exemplifies the detrimental effects of his recent actions as he now finds himself assuming the role of an internal opposition. This stance places him in direct conflict with numerous party resolutions and initiatives. Such actions do not require nostalgic reflections on one's illustrious past, but rather a straightforward call for adherence to party discipline and directives. There's a lot of abuse in the Zimbabwean state. Once you are working for the government, it seems like you need to serve the person. We saw it during the Mugabe time, the abuse of public servants. We need to put a stop to this culture. A president is an employee of the country. He works for the people of Zimbabwe. He is at work. It is a job. But for some reason, there is a group of people who feel that there's a need for them to benefit and to control how people should move. Is there any problem with Chiwenga sitting down with military guys so they can't even have drink, they can't even have lunch or breakfast? It's like people are in prison. You can't even talk on the phone, you're being controlled, you're being monitored. This is not a country. This is a mafia state where criminals are thriving over the country. And once again, what is so wrong with the military protecting the leaders of Zimbabwe? The military are not just there for the sake of having the military. They are there to be the last point of defense.
That's clause 15. Amends section 212, functions of defense forces of the constitution by deleting the words to uphold the constitution and substituting them with in accordance with the constitution. The amendment is intended to reinforce the provision of section 213 and 214 of the constitution. What exactly do they mean here?
I think it's just being mischievous there and perhaps sending messages to the military that we don't want a repeat of 2017. No matter what we do, no matter how irritated you become, no matter how angry you become, you shouldn't. It has no consequence completely, legally or politically. Legally, it's not a question of the courts coming in here. Remember that in 2017, all that those were shenanigans, saying, look, we have said this is lawful, etc. If there's going to be a military coup or a takeover of government, it is not going to be based on the constitution to the extent to which it is. Any coup is necessarily contrary to the constitution to take power. So this nonsense of saying, and you can forgive me for using that word, of saying that the 2017 coup was legal, I'm sure that's we all know that that is not correct. So there's no need to amend the constitution. In fact, the constitution is making more sense the way it is framed at the moment than that provision that is being added. But so it can tell you that the framers, these people who are making proposals, they are aware that what they are doing is hugely unpopular.
And they are anticipating.
Yes, they know that it's hugely unpopular. And they want to remove the temptation of those in the military saying, no, you can't do it. And then you do it in a manner, what they're doing. You know, if the constitution allows it, if we've amended the constitution, etc. They are trying to avoid
it.
Yeah, but which doesn't work. You cannot take away possible future charges of treason against those that are responsible for the proposals that have come. Remember, these proposals are not coming from the people. They are coming from a group of politicians who simply want to change the entire state system in the manner that is being proposed, especially that structure of governance which they are trying to propose themselves individually, and then at the same time they also do not want a referendum, do not want people to say yes or no to those proposals. That is actually very dangerous.
Would you think the ground could be ripe if this push continues for any military intervention?
Well, look, a military intervention is not about whether the ground is ripe or not. I think military interventions will come depending on the thought processes of the people in the military. I'm not aware, I'm not familiar with when they come in. But if you go by 2017, if we were to look at those that came in 2017, those that came in 2017, as far as they say to us and what we were able to see, is when they feel that the ordinary people are no longer able to stop certain things that are done by those in government, but which are totally unacceptable. That's my understanding of it. If you feel that the public is now helpless, like if, for example, you really feel, but that is wrong and very wrong, but the public can't do anything, cannot do anything about it, that's when normally they intervene. And so this is not about ripeness. We will do our best to stop this thing. No one wants the proposals that have been put forward. We would want a referendum should they want to make those proposals. Now, if we lose out on these things, who would stop anyone else with power to say, look, I'm coming in? So I'm sure we have several interveners. One, of course, will use the legal process. The other one, we appeal to God, we pray to God in case he has some way in which he intervenes. And I'm sure those in the military, whatever they want to do, they can do it. They are not going to be invited by anyone. But that amendment or the proposed amendment tells you that our politicians fear military intervention because it has happened before.
It's a fact Zimbabweans are desperate to see action in the country because their hands have been chopped by criminals. This has been going on over decades. Mnangagwa has betrayed the country, its people, and the legacy for generations. He really has. Because he only focused on protecting criminals, not the country, not its people, no, criminals. The way money is being looted, the way those that have been committing crimes are being protected, they're gallivanting. I can never forget Mana Priscilla. There are a lot. Where's Wajgajena? He has been very quiet. After the 5 million of Kotiko farmers, those poor people lost their $5 million. How many millions were stolen? And when Priscilla, there's two roaming around the streets. Something has to give. Enough, it is just enough. So I do completely agree with Madhuku. At this juncture, we just want action. And it should never be called, there's nothing called a coup. It's called protecting the legacy of a country. You hear a person has played a million, have played millions. Where do they work? Nowhere. They're just taking from the state and spend it. 2023 elections awarded few criminals 800 million rand. And there was no elections. It was chaos in Zimbabwe. Up to today, they're still roaming around the streets, buying expensive cars. Some of the monies were being given to slay queens, girlfriends, buying Louis Vuitton, expensive watches. And all they want is for us to just say, yes, yes, sir. Conditioning us to believe that that is right. No, it is not. And trust me, the time to pay is now. Professor Madhuku is not folding at all. He's bowing down to nonsense. And I must just say shout out to him. He has been very busy, enlightening you. But one thing that I love about him is calmness. No, he's not under pressure at all. He's very calm. You can see when he's having interviews, he doesn't feel the pressure at all. I need that grace. Maybe because he's an attorney, he's a lawyer. He deals with a lot. Right? So he sent a message to Emerson Mnangagwa after the reports that some of two guys from his NCA, which is a National Constitution Assembly, were abducted and tortured. And this was the message that he sends out. He said this will not stop the campaign against the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. These two NCA members were abducted outside the NCA head office at 348 Herbert Chitepo Avenue, Harare, shortly after our meeting on mobilizing against the bill. Tortured and damned. Why? We will win. I agree with him. We will win. Zimbabwe will not be destroyed by criminals. I know you guys have done the most, but we the people will rebuild the walls that you've destroyed. We'll build proper roads. We will have clean water across the country. Every Zimbabwean will have access to clean water. Electricity. There will be proper malls in the country. I'm talking about traffic lights will be seen all over the country. All the roads will be having proper lights, traffic lights. It's coming. Our people will live in a normal country again. They will choose the kind of meals they want to eat. That time is coming. And it's coming very soon. So we haven't given up on Zimbabwe at all. Children will celebrate. Elders will sit down and having the last stories with their grandchildren. Parents will live with their kids. We will build the walls. We don't give up easily. That I can tell you. We are not giving up on our country. Not at all. I just want to say that Thomas Chiwenga is making me really happy. He's very committed not to 2030. Very committed. And I just wonder, where are the other socialites? But I have bad news for you. You will see different celebrities very soon in the country. I have bad news for you. Because you're proven you're not serious. You can't tell me that you can't speak against 2030. That's why most of you took cars from criminals. They were simply buying you. The church were being bought. Pastors were being bought. Celebrities, leaders were being bought. That's how criminals work. I need to read the tweet that was sent out by Thomas Chiwenga. He said, I know credibility of past elections is a concern for many Zimbabweans. Trust in institutions is the foundation of any democracy, and that trust must be rebuilt. At the same time, the country needs a strong, organized, and credible alternative that can inspire confidence and present real solutions. Complaining is not enough. Zimbabwe deserves a leadership that is prepared, principled, and ready to compete seriously. Democracy works when institutions are respected and when citizens have a genuine choice. It's time to move beyond slogans and begin building that choice, not 2030. I agree, Thomas, not 2030. 2030 will not see the light of day. That one is, we are done with that thing. That one, we don't even pay attention to nonsense like that. Few criminals cannot decide the fate of the whole country. Absolutely not. Few losers who don't know what patriotism means cannot decide how the country should go. We, the people, want to build the walls. Imagine a few losers who can't even build a toilet, a public toilet in 2026. They failed to build a public toilet in Zimbabwe. All the city, you can't see any proper public toilet. Now these losers want to decide how Zimbabwe should move over dead bodies. It will not happen. We shall therefore build Zimbabwe. And that will happen soon. All right, you tell me what you think, guys, in the comment section. But trust me, action will be taken. Nobody's afraid. It's time to protect the country and its people. So stop intimidating us. We'll make exactly what we want. I love you guys. Bless you and bless Zimbabwe. Bye for now.